Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, we are going to go over my top 3 teams to beat in the NFC. We're going to take a look at the defenses, the offense, the weapons that these teams have, and then also review their divisions, because we know that obviously an easier division is going to give them a clearer path to the #1 seed, which helps to get to the Super Bowl. But before we get into that, if you are new to the channel, welcome. Really appreciate you spending some time with me today. If you haven't done it before, if you've enjoyed content from me in the past, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. I cannot thank you enough for all the support that I have already got. It means so much to me and it helps me out a ton. It lets me do what I love, and that way I can keep bringing you guys the content that you love. With that done, let's get into this version of Hot Off the Press. First of all, this was so much easier to do in the NFC, where a top-heavy 3 give way to a cluster of above-average teams in the middle. There were 7 teams that I considered for these 3 spots and my honorable mention, but really the hardest decision was what order to put that top 3 in. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on my order, and I am sure I'm gonna catch some heat for my honorable mention as well. I don't care. Bring it on. Maybe it will drive some sense into me. I'm gonna quick hit my honorable mention first, and then I'm gonna go 3 to 1 like I always do. So without further ado, let's hop into it. My honorable mention is the Minnesota Vikings, and hey, a guy can dream, right? If it hasn't happened yet, it is bound to happen eventually, right? This spot was between the Vikings, the 49ers, and the Cowboys, so of course I go with the homer pick. I will take Cousins over Dak, and I do not believe that the Niners have another Cinderella story run in them in 2022. The NFC is actually pretty wide open after the top 3. That is my story, and I'm sticking to it. In reality, it could be a long shot, but hey, crazier things have happened, and I do think it is a possibility. The reasons for this are pretty simple. Minnesota has a really good roster top to bottom. Kevin O'Connell and his arrival is a godsend for a team that has been stuck of the dark ages of the NFL game for what feels like forever. I believe that he has the ability to open up the offense and utilize one of the best playmaker groups in the entire league. The Vikings have a top 12 quarterback, a top 5, maybe top 3 wide receiver, and for my money, a top 3 running back as well. Few can match that sort of trio. Minnesota is going to be able to score with just about anyone, and that will always give them a chance to come out on top. Of course, we have to talk about the defense, and it was suspect to say the least last season, and I do get that. But with some injury luck, it will be a lot better this season. They have stars at every level. The signing of Zadarius Smith is big for this team, and to be able to pair him with Danielle Hunter on the outside is a formidable duo. Cameron Dantzler flashed at the end of last year at corner, and the Vikings still have one of the league's best safeties in Harrison Smith and linebackers in Eric Kendricks. I also love the Jordan Hicks signing to fortify that middle of the defense. There are not a ton of holes here. When you put it all together, the Vikings have the makings of a dark horse pick for a Super Bowl run. Oh snap, was I asleep? Happens sometimes. Now to number 3, and the Green Bay Packers are my team here. It was quite an offseason for Green Bay, and not really in a good way either. The Packers lost a lot of pieces on both sides of the ball, and they reloaded some to an extent. For me, this really just drives home the fact of how top-heavy the NFC as a whole really is. If you can lose as much as the Pack did and still be a front runner in your conference, you are certainly playing in the right one. This version of Green Bay is far more likely to win games on the backs of its defense than it is on Aaron Rodgers' arm. A top 10 defense is likely here, and a top 5 unit is certainly not out of the question, especially with the return of newly re-signed cornerback Jair Alexander. There are studs at every level on Green Bay's defense, and once again, they use the draft to restock the cupboards. They boast a two-time Pro Bowl nose tackle in Kenny Clark, 2021 All-Pro Devondre Campbell, and with Adrian Amos manning the back end, there are no weaknesses here. They are stacked and they are deep. Led by Rodgers, the offense is going to look a lot different than it did in 2021. Without Devontae Adams on the outside, I expect the run game to become an even more central part of what the Pack wants to do. With Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, that is a sound strategy. These two are an incredible duo, and having them both allows each to stay fresh and punish a defense into submission. They complement each other really well, and they wear down the opposition over the course of the game. Each can win between the tackles or catching it out of the backfield. This is going to help set up Rodgers in the passing game, and to be frank, he is going to need all the help that he can get. Green Bay has one of the weakest wide receiver cores in the entire league, and that is even with the addition of second-round wideout Christian Watson. His development is going to be crucial for this offensive unit. It is the Packers' biggest weakness, and really almost its only weakness, besides the special teams unit, of course, which was ranked one of the worst in the league last season and could have potentially stopped the Packers from getting to the Super Bowl. Green Bay is counting on Rodgers to overcome this deficiency, and if anyone can do it, it is the back-to-back MVP, which is still a sham, to be fair. I expect a different receiver to lead the team in receiving each week until Watson eventually settles in and snatches that #1 role. For the Packers faithful, hopefully that is quickly. Regardless, Green Bay is once again in the driver's seat in the NFC North, a position they are very familiar with. I believe it is more open now than it has been in a few years, but the chances of teams like Chicago and Detroit threatening them are very poor. They likely go 5-1 in the division, and they will not lose more than 2 games to a rival. That is a heck of a head start to a top seed, and while home field advantage in the playoffs hasn't exactly been kind to the Packers, I still think it's an advantage. I believe that while it may be difficult for the Packers to make it 4 straight years with 13 wins, the competition for a top seed is far from steep. Green Bay is going to claim one of the top 3 teams in the NFC on the shoulders of their defense and are among the favorites to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. My #2 team to beat in the NFC is the Los Angeles Rams. And let's face it, repeating is hard and it hasn't happened in nearly 20 years. But the Rams look prepared to defend their title as well as most teams who have tried it since New England did it back in 2004 and 2005. That being said, the offseason was not particularly kind to Los Angeles. It rarely is for Super Bowl champions. There were plenty of losses here that bring concern, including Von Miller, Robert Woods, cornerback Darius Williams, defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph Day, and guard Austin Corbett. Yeah, it is a long list. They did, however, manage to make a few of my favorite moves, going out and getting Allen Robinson II and Bobby Wagner. Overall, the losses sting, but there is still plenty to love about the Rams roster. On defense, it starts with Aaron Donald, an all-world talent and one of the very best to ever play the game, period, regardless of position. Donald dominates a game on his own, and he cannot be contained by 1 and sometimes even 2 defenders. He sets the tone for Los Angeles. Jalen Ramsey is another game changer and can lock down any wide receiver in the league. The Wagner signing gives LA elite playmakers on each level of the defense. It may be pretty top heavy, but it is quite a trifecta. Offensively, the Rams are going to be able to keep up, with Matthew Stafford looking 10 years younger and Cooper Kupp looking basically unguardable. An encore for each of them is a can't miss. They are a top 3 duo in the league. Robert Woods is certainly going to be missed, but I believe Allen Robinson is the answer there. Robinson is going to need a big rebound year after falling flat in 2021, but I do like his chances as the #2 in a high-powered offense. Van Jefferson is an extremely talented and under-the-radar #3 with big play written all over him. The running game is going to take care of its end of the bargain. Darrell Henderson showed more than capable as the lead back after Akers went down before the season even started. Henderson shifting to a backup role is not only going to provide Akers with a breather when necessary, it will do so without a ton of a drop-off. The backfield in LA is solid. 2021 could not have gone any better for Stafford. He deserved that championship more than most in the league, and it was amazing to see him accomplish it. I have a feeling, though, that he is not done just yet. With the Sean McVay genius at his disposal, Stafford reached feats that he hadn't in a decade. In the first year of a brand new offense. After another offseason in it, with a playmaker rapport that continues to build, watch out. He could take the Rams to another level in 2022. The Rams have probably the deepest division to have to worry about on this list, and that is part of the reason why they are not my number one team. Arizona is going to be less competitive without Nuke, and luckily for the Rams, they get one of those 6 matchups, but they are still no pushover. San Francisco, well, they just made the NFC Championship game, and they will be in playoff contention in 2022. Seattle, for whatever reason, always plays the Rams tough. The road to a top seed is going to be difficult, but this is now a championship-tested squad, and I am not sure that home field matters all that much to LA. They will be there at the end of the year and have an excellent shot to make it back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. As we get to number 1, I am sure you've already guessed it by now, but it is the Tampa Bay Bucs in the top spot. The Bucs lost some key pieces in the offseason, but they also were able to bring in some solid players to help fill the voids. Overall, I think they lost more than they gained, but I don't think that the hits they took are critical. And for a team that has won 24 games and a Super Bowl over the past 2 years, that is pretty impressive. The signing of Akeem Hicks helps offset the loss of Ndamukong Suh and was absolutely massive for Tampa. Ditto for the Shaquille Mason signing after losing Alex Kappa at guard. Jordan Whitehead walking out the door hurts, but Antoine Winfield is ready to be the big dog on the back end, and I am also not sold that Rob Gronkowski is going to stick to sweats with his best bud Tom coming back. The draft for Tampa was solid as well, as the mentioned losses were filled throughout it. After trading down and getting some value in doing so, Tampa took defensive end Logan Hall, who helps with the Pierre-Paul loss, and they added depth at the guard position with Luke Goedeke. And I am pretty sure that I messed that up. Cade Otton gives them help in case that Gronk does decide to stay put, and I love the additions overall that the Bucs made in April. Tampa Bay boasts one of the best defenses in the league. They ranked top 10 in points allowed and in sacks. They were in the upper half of the league in yards allowed in 2021 as well. While their secondary did struggle at times, much of that can be attributed to injuries. The Bucs are going to be healthier there and be much improved in that department next season. They will once again be one of the tougher teams to score against in the league. I have a slight concern in the backfield with Ronald Jones heading to Kansas City, but Leonard Fournette had a career resurgence once he entered a Tampa Bay uniform, and he looks poised to carry the torch alone. He exploded over the last few games before going down, and that is probably why Tampa felt comfortable losing Jones. Just in case, they got some backup in the 3rd round with Rashad White out of Arizona State if it does come to that. But honestly, that's not the Bucs game anyways, even if they did turn to the running game a little bit more towards the end of last year. Tampa is going to continue to let Tom sling it, and why wouldn't you? The Buccaneers have one of the best 1-2 combos in the league with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They would be silly not to take advantage of that. Godwin is likely not going to be ready for the start of the season, which is why the signing of Russell Gage is so critical. He is an underrated number 3 and can fill a complementary role until Godwin is back at 100%. The depth in the wide receiver room will be tested and should pass that test, with both Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson being capable alternative options. And of course, the GOAT. Having Brady automatically means that you have a chance to win the whole thing. Like a fine wine, he seems to be getting better with age. Brady is the ultimate trump card, and after posting incredible numbers last year, I expect the same thing to occur in 2022. It is unreal what he continues to be able to do, and he still is not showing any signs of slowing down. The Bucs' biggest competition in their division is New Orleans, but I do not really see the Saints being able to test them. It is probable that Tampa Bay sweeps the NFC South, and really at worst, they're gonna go 5-1. That will give them a leg up in an all-out battle for the #1 overall seed that is certain to come as the season winds down. It is close, but having Tom Brady is the difference maker for me. The GOAT pushes the Tampa Bay Bucs over the top, and they are my team to beat in the NFC. And with that, I will end today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed the content. If there is anything that you are hoping that I put out over the next couple weeks, drop those suggestions in the comments below. That is why I do these. As always, I would greatly appreciate a like and subscribe on the video. It helps me out a ton, and it enables me to do what I love. This is Relentless Press. I'm your host, Abraham Opatz, and I will see you next time.